What's up everyone, Clydesdale Chris here. First off, thanks for watching. Hey, I have to say I'm pretty motivated, I'm pretty pumped up right now. This channel seems to be gaining a little bit of momentum. I've got some subscribers, I got some viewers. So, I'm going to try to ramp up the content and bring you guys some more features, some more reviews, some more tech tips, all that kind of stuff. So if you've got suggestions and got some ideas of what you'd like to see from this channel, please hit me up in the comment section below. So anyway, I'm here in my driveway today. It looks like a damn bike shop out here. Nothing new. Here with my pride and joy. This is my baby. This is my 2015 Cannondale Scalpel Carbon Team. This is an absolute cross-country weapon. This bike clocks in right around 24 pounds as is. So it's not a super lightweight build. Actually, on race day, I run a little bit lighter wheels. I use these Spanks for training because they're pretty much bomb-proof. But with the lighter Synchros wheels, they're still alloy, but XTR, carbon, most everything, Fox factory fork, Monarch in the back here. It's about 24 pounds, and it is fast as heck out here on our flat and fast Michigan single track. I love this bike. It's absolutely perfect out here, and it's perfect for racing. Next to me, I have my old baby. And when I say old, I mean like 20 years ago when I was a teenager in high school working in a bike shop. I built this thing up. This is a 1997 Schwinn factory homegrown hardtail. So it's 99% period correct other than the tires, which is understandable. Has a number of modifications to it. I'll get to it later. But what's my point here? Well, anyway, what do you guys think the difference is in speed between basically a cutting-edge, top-of-the-line, brand-new cross-country racing full suspension bike and a racing bike from 20 years ago? Well, honestly, the difference is not as big as I expected. I expected it to be a bigger difference, quite frankly, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, as some of you may know, I race the Michigan CPS cross-country racing series, which is our state series with a number of point events all around the state. And a couple weeks ago, we had one of our time trial events, which was a local event here in Michigan at the Mayberry State Park. It's a course I know pretty well, and they take the normal single track loop, which is about 6 miles, add a few sections to it, and you get a really nice 10-mile loop, which has a good variety. It's got a bit of climbing, 600 feet, nothing crazy, but it's really a well-rounded course. You got climbing, you got technical, you got descent, and you got some flat sections where you just hammer. So it doesn't really cater to any specific riding style or bike style or anything. You really have to have a well-rounded package to do well in that course. And I race in the sport class, as the name implies. I was in the Clydesdale class, but I represent kind of the weekend warrior kind of guy, so I'm pretty fast in the sport class. Actually, I did set the fastest time for the entire sport class of about 100 riders that weekend, even though I'm a Clydesdale. So not all Clydesdales are slow, but in any case, I'm not a pro, certainly far away from the pro and the elite riders, but it'll be interesting to see what is the time difference between this guy and this guy. So, background on that, my first race in the morning was my regular sport class race where I rode the Scalpel. And right after, like 15 minutes after I finished, they held a retro bike race, which is really cool. It's something I haven't done before. Well, haven't done it since the 90s when these were actually, the current bikes, but I haven't done a retro class race before. So I jumped off of my Scalpel after doing my 10-mile lap at the time trial and got on my Homegrown, put on my Oakley razor blades from the 90s, a bunch of old gear I had. I had a matching jersey and some matching gloves, and I took a lap right afterwards on the Homegrown. So on a 40-minute course, 10 miles, the difference between my lap time here, and keeping in mind I had the first lap on the Cannondale, so the freshest legs, and this old, antiquated, outdated 26-inch hardtail was only 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So 2 minutes 28 seconds, that's obviously, that's the difference, I guess, between maybe winning and not winning, but all things considered, I kind of expected more of a difference considering 20 years of technology. And let's be honest, you could pick something up on Craigslist like this for, you know, 300 bucks versus I don't even want to get into the retail price of one of these days. So let's get into the differences and why this bike is, you know, faster as it should be. But what was interesting to me, and, you know, I'll throw up the Strava overlay here, is there wasn't any one section where, you know, it excelled. It was just faster everywhere. It's faster in climbing, faster in descents, faster in the flats. So it was good to see that it wasn't just one section of the course where this bike was faster. It was a pretty straight delta all the way across. But what the numbers really don't show is the stability and the confidence and the rider comfort. So I rode it pretty hard on the Scalpel, but when I was done with my lap, I could probably go out and do another lap at pretty darn close to that pace. I was feeling comfortable. I was really getting in the groove. My legs were feeling fresh. So overall, it was a really nice ride on the Scalpel. When I jumped on this old girl, it was sketchy as heck. So we've got this like 140 millimeter stem, and the head tube angles are actually really similar between the two bikes. This one is 71.5 degrees, and this one is really close to that. But I think with this long stem out here, this bike just is twitchy at the limit. It's so easy to turn the front wheel just a little bit too far and wash that front wheel out. And there was a couple times where I had to clip out and stick my leg out and save myself from just falling on my face. So I had probably 3 or 4 really close incidents with the Schwinn that almost put me down. And when I was done with the lap on this bike, I was definitely done. I was not ready to take another lap, just because you are riding this thing at the limit. It's sketchy, and you just don't have that comfort and the confidence that you do with a modern bike. These big 29-inch wheels just roll over everything. It's smooth. The suspension is dialed. Braking, yeah, I was reminded how these V-brakes, they do pretty good on power, but the modulation is just atrocious. So it goes from bite, you know, you try to modulate and get a nice, you know, even medium amount of braking, and it's either nothing or way too much braking, not much in between, versus these XTR hydraulics, which are just one finger, can do everything you need. Another interesting point is that I had the same average heart rate for both races. But what's different about it is if you look at the actual heart rate graphs, you can see the effort is far more consistent on the first race with the Scalpel. That's because I was able to put forth a better effort at all times. If I was climbing, if I was descending, if I was going through technical sections. Whereas on the Homegrown, I just couldn't put forth that much effort on the downhills and the tech sections, just because the handling was so on the limit and so, you know, so sketchy. And I was really not able to ride to my full potential because I had to let off and coast just because I didn't want to crash. So that's another thing that may not necessarily come out in the raw numbers, but you can see the difference looking at the data. But in any case, it was cool to be back out on this thing. Let's look at some of these modifications. I put the Marzocchi Z2 Atom Bomb fork on there. It's a whopping 2.5 inches of travel, 63 millimeters. But this fork is awesome. So back in the day, you got one of these bikes that had a RockShox Judy on it, which is a pretty mediocre fork, all things considered. It had rubber elastomers, which over time would degrade, had a damping cartridge, which really didn't do much of anything. It was kind of like what you find on your basic screen door. Turning the settings didn't do much. This Marzocchi Bomber was such a huge step up at the time. This had a true damping open bath damper that was basically straight out of motorcycle technology, and the adjustments actually do something, right? You can adjust the rebound damping to a snail's pace or lightning fast or anything in between. You could vary the oil viscosity or the oil height to kind of tailor the curve, how it ramps up, and it's a very durable, very stiff, just well-built fork. And glad I put it on here because even today it's awesome. It feels great. You know, I've kept the oil fresh and hasn't given me any problems over time, and I'm sure if I still had that Judy on there, the thing would be not in the best of shape. I also got the Mavic Crossmax wheels I put on there. Awesome upgrade at the time. Very good lightweight and strong wheels. And there's a couple other things I put on this thing, but I still ride it from time to time. It's kind of fun to get on it. The bars are super narrow. Fork is The fork works well considering how little travel it has, but overall it's a very stiff and uncomfortable bike to ride versus this thing. So yeah, big surprise. All the technology in the world doesn't buy you as much speed as you might think, but it certainly does buy you comfort, control, and predictability. And I wouldn't trade this bike for anything if I'm having to ride fast in a race type situation. So in any case, hope that video is kind of interesting to you. I'll be talking more about maybe my bikes, my friends' bikes, technical tips and other things. So tune in, watch if you find this interesting, and feel free to leave me a comment below on what you'd like to see in this channel. And I'll be coming back at you with more bike stuff. So thanks for watching, have a good one, and catch you later. See ya.